Hi, my name is Tamara and I'm from Texas. I didn't know I was famous until my boyfriend finally told me. But first, make sure you like and subscribe. When I was 10 years old, my parents took me to a carnival. We went on one of those roller coasters where they flash a photo of you while you're on the ride. Well, as we flew down, I started to feel really sick. And, well, I threw up. It's a pity the automatic sensors for the camera took a photo precisely at that gross moment. Oof. Anyway, it turns out, unbeknownst to me, that picture of me throwing up on a roller coaster went viral. So viral that when I showed my boyfriend an old picture of me throwing up on the roller coaster, he freaked out.
Wait, that's you?
Yeah? Why?
Tamara, that's crazy. You're famous.
What are you on about?
Look.
And Tyrone showed me all the memes and buzz over my photo from when I was 10 years old. It was crazy. They called me the Vomit Queen. Not that catchy, huh? But anyway, I was famous. I was surprised I hadn't found that out sooner. Like, how had I gone nearly 12 years without knowing I was famous? But that didn't matter. What mattered was what I was gonna do next. I called up some talk shows and managed to get on one. It was so exciting. Tyrone came with me, and as I sat opposite Jimmy Fallon, I felt like this was my destiny. So, tell me, how did this happen? Well, it wasn't planned. But then I froze mid-sentence. They had pulled up the viral photo of me puking on the ride on the big screen, and I realized that I hadn't actually taken a proper look at the photo until now, because that was when I realized that the parents sitting next to me in the photo weren't my real parents. I didn't say anything for the rest of the interview, I just played it off. But when I watched the footage back on TV the next day, you could see the shock on my face. Who were those people on the ride with me? Were mom and dad even my real mom and dad? I had to get answers. I flew up to my parents' house right away. Tyrone insisted he come with me, so I let him come too. I was hesitant though, since Tyrone and my parents never really got along. Now that I think about it, they've only really met twice in their lives. The last time they met, my dad and Tyrone nearly got into a fistfight. Anyway, I arrived at my parents' house and we got settled. But now was the time to confront them. Who are the people in this photo? I showed them the puking picture. They looked at each other, then back at me.
Those are your real parents.
What?
You're adopted, sweetie. Those were your biological parents, but shortly after the picture was taken, they died in a car crash.
But how? How do I have no memory of my biological parents? I was 10 years old when this picture was taken. Surely, I would have remembered something.
We don't know. The doctors say your brain went into shock and that's why you don't remember them. Listen, honey, this is a lot for us too. Let's talk about this tomorrow. For now, come on, eat up your vegetables.
I did as my mom asked and ate my broccoli, but my mind was on fire. None of this made any sense. Before we finished dinner though, I thought Dad gave me a strange look. But maybe I was just imagining things. In the night, I thought I heard something by our bedroom door. I got up without waking Tyrone and looked into the hallway. Tamara?
Oh!
It was Dad. Tamara, there's something you need to know. What? I can't tell you here, not with Tyrone. What? Why?
Babe, what's up?
Oh, Tyrone, I turned back to look at Dad, but he had disappeared. I looked at Tyrone. Nothing. Get back to sleep. We went to sleep, or at least pretended to. Things were getting crazier and crazier. My mind couldn't make any sense of it. Well, the next morning when I woke up, my entire world came crashing down. I walked downstairs into the kitchen to find the room packed with policemen. What's going on? Ma'am, are you the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson? Yes. Why? I'm sorry, ma'am. They died in a car crash last night. I fainted. When I woke up, I learned that they had taken a drive late last night and crashed into a tree. They didn't survive. While I was sobbing and breaking down, I couldn't help thinking, why? Why would they drive at that time of night? The more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized that this was no accident. This was murder. And despite what my heart wanted, my brain was telling me Tyrone had something to do with this. I saw something else that seemed to confirm my suspicions. When I was sitting on the couch being questioned by the police, I asked Tyrone to get me a glass of water. When he came back, I noticed he had a slight limp. He didn't have a limp last night. What was up with him? I decided to hire a private investigator. His name was Samuel. He did some searching into Tyrone but found nothing. I started to feel better. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But then, my suspicions quadrupled when Tyrone didn't come back one night. He disappeared for 3 months. No note, no nothing. I was devastated, but also disappointed. I guess my suspicions were right. Tyrone murdered my parents. Life went on. I got a job at a kindergarten. I loved teaching kids. All was good. Well, until about 2 kids in my class started fighting. I called in both of their parents to talk about the situation, but when the first couple arrived, I nearly screamed out of fright. It was the couple in the viral photo, my biological parents. How could this be? My adoptive parents told me that they had died in a car crash. Unless they lied. But why would they lie? The couple just stared at me blankly, as though they didn't recognize me. Of course they didn't. It had been nearly a decade since they last saw me, assuming the last time they had seen me was the day at the carnival. Mr. and Mrs. Palomi? Hi, Miss Johnson, how are you? You called us to talk about our son, Ron. Listen, why don't you sit down? And I explained everything to them. I'm your daughter. I told them about the carnival day, my parents, Tyrone, everything. They were shocked, to say the least. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of awkward silence, my biological mom spoke. Listen, Miss Johnson. Please, call me Tamara. Tamara, I think there's some kind of mistake. We never had a daughter. We only have Ron, our son, who's in your class. I was taken aback. This was not the response I was expecting. What?
Listen, are you crazy or something? We don't want no crazy person teaching our son. It's dangerous.
Darling, please, take it easy. She's just...
I don't care. I want to have her teaching my son.
I zoned out. If they weren't my parents, who were they? I decided to ask them to do a DNA test, and eventually they agreed. It came back negative. So, it was true. I wasn't their daughter. But actually, I think one part of your story is true, said the woman. We did go to a carnival, and if my memory's right, there was a little girl who sat between us.
Yeah, hon, actually, you're right. I remember her puke landed all over me.
Oh, that's right. Wait, so the picture is real? This actually happened? Yes, hon, but I don't know why your parents said we're your biological parents. That part just ain't true, hon. I had a lot to think about. I said goodbye to them and called up Samuel, my private investigator, again. I spent all the money I had on him and asked him to find Tyrone. If anyone had answers, it was him. Weeks went by, no news. But then suddenly, I got a call. I found him. He had been living in a homeless shelter on the edge of town. When I approached his section of the building, he looked at me in surprise. Hello, Tyrone. Samuel was with me. We captured Tyrone and brought him to my apartment. We forced him to tell the truth. Tyrone explained everything. He had kidnapped me when I was 10 years old. He had been 16 years old at the time and homeless. My parents had approached him and asked him to kidnap me for them. So, my parents were the bad guys?
I'm sorry, Tamara, I was desperate. They paid me good money to kidnap you, and I thought I could move on from it. But then one day, I saw you in town with your kidnappers, who you believed were your real parents. And I had to do something. I approached you to tell you the truth, but instead, well, we started dating. Years went by. Your parents were constantly paying me to keep the secret from you, but I'd had enough. That night, the night your parents, aka your kidnappers, died, I confronted them. I told them I was gonna tell you the truth. They weren't having it. They took me for a drive, saying they were gonna find a restaurant where we could chat more openly. But then, they started attacking me. I think they wanted to murder me, and your dad lost control of the vehicle. The car crashed, but I somehow survived. I limped back home and pretended I knew nothing about it.
No wonder. I was wondering why you had a limp.
Yeah, and I thought we could move on from all that. We could be happy. But then you hired a private investigator. You thought I didn't notice, huh? I knew if you found out the truth, you would hate me. So I left. I couldn't bear you hating me. But I guess you know now.
I was speechless. Samuel looked at me and shrugged. He was just as speechless as me. I don't hate you, Tyrone. Tyrone looked up in surprise. Samuel looked surprised too. You did what you had to do to survive. I don't hate you. Tyrone looked hopeful.
So you'll take me back?
What? Of course not. You lied to me. Just because I don't hate you doesn't mean I still want to date you. Besides, I looked at Samuel and grabbed his hand. Samuel grinned. Samuel and I got really close while we were trying to look for you. We're dating now. Sorry, Tyrone, you missed out. And we walked away. That's the last time I ever saw Tyrone. Who knew one viral photo could change my life so drastically? Hi, my name is Carla and I'm from Canada. My life was pretty normal until one day while walking to school, the most bizarre thing happened. Carla, watch out! My neighbor and classmate Danny yelled as his bike sped towards me. I jumped out of the way and landed in a ditch while Danny and his bike went flying through some bushes. Ouch! I think I broke my leg. Serves you right for almost killing me. I was so busy trying to get out of the ditch and cursing Danny that I didn't notice someone walk up to me. Hi, Carla. Need some help? I looked up at the unfamiliar voice. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen was standing there, her hand extended to me. I'm not exaggerating, guys. She was stunning. She had these ocean blue, sparkling eyes and jet black silky hair. And her teeth were so white they hardly looked real. Who are you and why do you know my name? I'm Olivia. Let me help you. Do you want to know what happened next? Then please subscribe and keep watching this video. When I was 8 years old, my dad gave me a beautiful doll and told me her name was Alexa. I loved Alexa, but Mom kept saying that Alexa didn't look right. Being only 8, I didn't know what that meant. One day, I came home from school to find Mom throwing Dad's things on the lawn, threatening to burn them. Our neighbors were standing outside watching the drama unfold. I'm warning you, Marcus, I will set it all on fire if you don't get that thing away from Carla.
Stop making a scene, Lydia. The doll is harmless and Carla loves her.
Were they talking about Alexa? Mom? Dad? What's going on? They both turned towards me. I guess they were too busy trying to kill each other to notice the school bus dropped me off. Dad was holding Alexa protectively while Mom was throwing loads of Dad's stuff all over the lawn. Danny, who was the school head of the bullies, stood on the sidewalk, his bully friends with him. Oh, Carla, your parents are crazy. Is your house a madhouse? His bully friends laughed as they took off down the street on their bikes.
Carla, honey, please go inside.
I followed Mom to our front door and she asked me to go to my room and wait for her. When she came in later, Dad and his stuff were gone, and so was Alexa. That was almost 10 years ago. Now I'm a senior in high school. Scratch that. I'm the hottest senior in high school. At least according to every boy at my school. Well, except Danny. He's still a bully and he still calls my house the madhouse. Ugh. After Olivia helped me get out of the ditch, she vanished. One minute, I was talking to her while collecting my books, and when I looked up, she was gone. I hurried to the school wondering who she was, and how did she know who I was? It was kind of creepy. While in class, I heard some movement outside the window and I turned to look. You wouldn't believe what I saw. Olivia was staring at me with her face plastered to the window, her eyes unnaturally wide. I stood up from my desk screaming and she took off running. When my classmates turned to see what was going on, she was already gone. I swear there was someone right there. Are you seeing things, Carla? Danny and his buddies were now making fun of me, saying I was losing it. I'm not crazy, there was a girl there. My outburst made them laugh even more. When I got home that day and told Mom about my strange day, she just brushed it off. No one believed me, but I was sure of what I saw. Olivia was real. Guys, you believe me, right? A few days later, I got home from school to find a police officer outside our house. And with him was my dad. I ran and hugged him, but he started to sob loudly. Dad, what's wrong? Aren't you happy to see me?
Carla, I'm so sorry. Your mom was in a car accident. She's gone, honey.
I fell to my knees as Dad and the officers gave me the worst news of my life. I had so many questions, but I just let Dad comfort me. The next couple of days were tough, but Dad helped me with the funeral arrangements, and after the funeral, I had no choice but to move in with him. So, where have you been this whole time? Dad was driving me to his house.
Carla, I'm so sorry I left. I've been working at a lab in Germany, but I came back a few weeks ago.
I got the shock of my life when I walked into Dad's fancy house because standing there was Olivia. I knew I wasn't crazy. What are you doing here? Did you follow me here too?
What are you talking about?
This girl has been following me. She even came to my school. She's a creep.
Calm down, Carla. Olivia didn't follow you here. She lives here.
I was lost.
Carla, meet your stepsister, Olivia.
This was crazy. She has been stalking me for the past couple of weeks.
That's impossible. Olivia is homeschooled and she never leaves the house.
Oh, is that right? Do her lessons involve teaching her how to be a stalker?
Now calm down, young lady. That's no way to talk to me or your sister.
She's not my sister. She's just a...
That's enough, Carla.
Dad was angry now and he was about to scold me, but Olivia interrupted.
It's okay, Dad. She's telling the truth.
See?
I only wanted to get to know her and may have shown up at the school a couple of times.
Shown up? You scared me and made my classmates think I'm a psycho.
I'm really sorry, Dad, but when we moved back here, I thought we would look for Carla right away, but you and Mom didn't seem to be in a hurry. I just wanted to get to know Carla better.
I can't believe you did that. What if someone found out that...
Dad stopped talking and looked at me nervously. Found out what?
That I'm...
Olivia, don't.
She looked at Dad wide eyes and then she started to shake violently like she was having a seizure. What's wrong with her? Dad didn't answer me. Instead, he picked up Olivia and carried her up the stairs. I followed and saw him enter a room, but when I tried to walk in, he banged the door in my face. Rude? What do you think Olivia was about to tell me?
Hey, Carla, I hope you remembered to take your crazy meds. We don't want you screaming at ghosts again.
The whole class burst out laughing at Danny's teasing.
Apologize to her, now!
Olivia stood over Danny, her fists clenched. Where had she come from? Ever since her mini meltdown at home, Dad had been treating her like she was an egg. He fussed over her and rarely let her out of his sight. Olivia? What are you doing here?
Dad finally let me join your school. Isn't it great?
She smiled at me and then turned to Danny.
I said, apologize to my sister. Now.
She took a step towards him. How could she be smiling 1 second and so mad the next?
Sister, you're crazy just like her.
Olivia pounced on Danny like an angry cat. She punched him in the face and Danny fell backwards, clutching his nose.
Ouch, you broke my nose.
And I'll break it again if you ever come near my sister. Now move.
She pushed Danny off his chair and sat in it. By lunch, the whole school was talking about Olivia. Everyone moved out of the way as she and I walked past them. Olivia never left my side. She even stood outside the door when I went to the bathroom. Everyone was mesmerized by Olivia's beauty. The boys drooled at her and my friends kept talking about how pretty she was. I even saw them touch and sniff her silky hair. Soon, my friends started to pay more attention to her and to her perfect everything. As if that was not enough, Olivia was super intelligent. She had a photographic memory and she solved math problems in seconds. Teachers adored her. By the end of the first week, everyone was worshipping the ground she walked on. Despite all her popularity, Olivia never made any friends. All she did was follow me everywhere I went. On my birthday, I invited my friends to my dad's house, even though I knew not many people would show up, since I wasn't that popular anymore. Much to my surprise, almost the entire school showed up to the party. I was so excited until I saw them all handing presents to Olivia and wishing her a happy birthday. I couldn't believe it. She hijacked my birthday. You're the worst sister in the world. I furiously wiped tears from my face and ran to my bedroom, only to walk in the worst possible scene a girl could see on her birthday. My boyfriend Emmett was kissing Gigi, a girl in our class, in my bedroom. Get out! Get out! I pulled my hair and stomped my feet like a mad toddler.
Carla, what's going on?
Ugh, of course, Olivia had followed me. I caught them kissing.
What?
Gigi tried to leave the room, but Olivia blocked her. Get out of my way. Gigi pushed Olivia and it was chaos from there. Olivia looked possessed. She and Gigi were at each other's necks, but Gigi was no match for Olivia. Seriously, what had Dad been feeding her? Come to think of it, I'd never seen her eat. Not even once. Anyway, back to my bedroom, which now looked like a war zone. Olivia and Gigi were screaming at each other, rolling on the floor. Emmett and I tried to separate them, but I ended up with a scratch on my face and Emmett got a chipped tooth. Gigi grabbed Olivia by her hair and pulled hard. Emmett and I watched in horror as Olivia's hair came right off. It was a wig. Olivia quickly got up away from Gigi. She tried to cover her bald head, but it was too late. And that was not all. One of her eyes was bulging out, distorted and looking really creepy. Oh my god, what's wrong with your face? Gigi dropped Olivia's wig and bolted out of there. Emmett looked so terrified and, to be honest, so was I. When Olivia turned to him, he took a few steps back.
Don't come near me.
Olivia didn't listen. She grabbed him and pushed him hard. Together, they fell through my bedroom window and landed on our lawn. I ran down the stairs and went out the front door. I saw Emmett get up and limp down the driveway, disappearing down the street. Kids stared in horror at Olivia, who, at this point, looked like a zombie. Olivia, are you okay?
Alexa?
She started twitching and shaking, then she fell with a loud thud. Everyone ran away screaming. A few minutes later, Dad walked out to the lawn and ran straight to Olivia. Is she dead?
No,
We need to take her to the hospital.
she doesn't need a hospital.
He picked her up and went into the house where he ordered everyone to leave. I didn't understand what was happening until the most shocking thing happened. Dad took Olivia to her room, laid her on the bed, lifted her shirt, and plugged an electric charger in her. The words "system charging" sent my brain on a whirlwind. What? What's going on? I was terrified and ready to bolt when Dad caught my hand and begged me to sit down so he could explain.
Carla, Olivia is your childhood doll, Alexa.
No way! But how is that possible?
She's not a normal doll, she's a robot.
Dad explained that he created Alexa when I was young, but when Mom found out how similar to a human being the doll was, she freaked out and kicked Dad out, calling him crazy. In Germany, Dad met Margaret, a scientist just like him. She helped him develop Alexa to look even more human. One day, however, Olivia found photos of me and told Dad that she wanted to meet me, and reluctantly, Dad agreed to move back to Canada.
I called your mom immediately when we moved back, but she refused to let me see you.
As Dad continued to explain, Olivia woke up all charged and Dad fixed her hair and put her eye back in place. She looked at me and smiled.
I'm sorry, Carla. I just wanted to be close to you.
I felt strange about this whole thing. So what happens now?
Now we move back to Germany where Olivia's secret is safe. And no more school for you, Olivia.
That's okay, Dad. I don't need school anyway.
So, Carla, will you come with us?
What do you think I said?
Hi, my name is Lucy and I'm from Florida. Please like and subscribe. My parents are super rich. We own a huge mansion and I can basically get whatever I want, whenever I want. I had everything. Well, except popularity. I was probably the least popular kid in my class growing up. I was always picked last in team games and no one wanted to speak to me. I remember on my 15th birthday, my parents had invited everyone in my class to our mansion, and I know the only reason they came was because they knew the party would be amazing since we were so rich. I wanted to impress everyone, so I wore my favorite Hello Kitty dress. As I walked down the stairs, they all stared at me. I was flattered they were so speechless by the sight of me. But then, one of them screamed,
Ew! What are you wearing?
Everyone laughed. I turned bright red.
Yeah, Hello Kitty. More like Hello Brittany.
Everyone laughed, and I was about to run back to my room when one boy jumped out in front of everyone.
Hey, leave her alone. I think she looks beautiful.
Everyone was shocked, because the boy who had defended me was Marco, the new kid in our class. He was so cute. Marco and I spent the rest of the evening together, and by the end of it, Marco had already asked me out on a date. Our first date was amazing. Turns out Marco's family was rich too, because he took me to this super expensive restaurant and bought me a diamond necklace afterwards. I was in love with him. He was so sweet and kind. The next day at school, I was walking through the hallway when I saw Marco. He had blonde hair today. He must have bleached it. It looked really good, and I was about to call out to him when suddenly he pressed himself against the girl he was chatting to and kissed her. I froze. My heart felt like it had literally broken in two. I turned around and cried all the way home. Marco kept calling me after that, but I always ignored him. Finally, one night he appeared at my house.
Brittany, please, hear me out.
No, I saw you kissing another girl.
That wasn't me.
Are you kidding me? I saw it with my own eyes.
No, look.
Marco stepped to the side and pulled someone next to him. I gasped. They were identical.
Hey, I'm Luke.
The other boy smiled. I finally understood. So, you're twins?
Well...
Marco grabbed another boy from the side and I gasped even louder. You're triplets?
Yeah, so listen, I didn't cheat on you. You saw Luke kissing someone, not me.
Luke grinned and winked at me. I blushed.
If it helps.
The other triplet, who I learned was called Adrian, spoke up.
We all have different hair colors, see?
I noticed that he was right. Marco had black hair, Luke had blonde hair, and Adrian had ginger hair. That was lucky. It would be easy to tell them apart now. Suddenly, my mom appeared at the door.
Honey, who are you talking to?
She froze and she looked at each of them.
Marco and I continued dating. Adrian and I got along really well, and he actually became my best friend. I discovered that although the triplets were identical in looks, they had completely different personalities. Luke was a bad boy, Marco was the angel, and Adrian was the loyal type. One night, Marco appeared at my house randomly. Oh, hey, Marco.
Yeah, it's me, Marco.
Marco entered and we sat in my room for a bit. Then I leaned over and kissed him. He looked flustered. What's wrong? Marco took off the beanie he was wearing, revealing blonde instead of black hair. You're Luke?
I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner. But when you mistook me for Marco, I just went with it.
But why?
Because I think you're beautiful and I like you.
I couldn't even speak. I would be lying if I said I hadn't found Luke charming, but I was dating Marco. While I was thinking over all this, my mom entered the room.
Oh, am I disturbing something? No, I'm just leaving.
Luke looked at me.
Think about it.
He left.
What was that all about?
I explained everything to Mom. What should I do? Who should I pick? Mom thought about it.
I think you should pick Luke.
I was surprised by her answer. Really? Don't you think he's a little too bad for me?
No, I think he's perfect for you. You should definitely pick him.
Oh, okay. I trusted my mom, so I did what she said. I broke up with Marco and dated Luke. Marco was heartbroken and was so hard to do, but I guess my mom was right. Dating Luke was so fun and adventurous. I never knew what to expect. Luke and I arrived back at my house after riding on his bike all day across the state. We were in my room when we started hearing shuffling upstairs where my parents' room was. I hadn't realized anyone was home. Then we heard something crash and we rushed upstairs, thinking there were burglars. But what we saw was even worse. My mom was making out with Marco. Can you believe it? Mom, what are you doing? Marco and Mom broke apart. Marco! Marco was red with embarrassment. Mom was even more embarrassed. Is this why you told me to date Luke? So you could have Marco all to yourself?
Listen, honey, I didn't really see this coming either. Yeah, Lucy, it just sort of happened.
I don't care. When Dad arrived that night, I told him everything. He was so shocked and him and Mom fought all night. I didn't care. What Mom had done hurt me. My parents ended up getting a divorce. Mom moved out. I ended up breaking up with Luke too. I realized he didn't make the best boyfriend because even though he was fun and adventurous, he was also pretty disloyal. I didn't get back with Marco though, because that was a whole other level of weird now. He had kissed my mom. If I ever kissed him, I would always picture that. I was sitting in the backyard one day after school. I was so sad. I had no friends, no boyfriends, my parents were divorced, everything seemed terrible. But then I felt someone sit down next to me in the grass. I looked over. At first I thought it was Marco, but then I saw the ginger hair and realized it was Adrian.
How you holding up?
I sighed. I've been better.
Listen, Lucy, if you ever need anything, I'll always be here.
Adrian held my hand. I looked at him suddenly. Was this it? Had the answer been here all along? Adrian laughed nervously.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I gulped. Adrian, I think I like you. Adrian was speechless. Then he shook his head as if in a daze.
You... what?
I like you. Adrian ran his hand through his hair, then looked at me. He smiled.
You know, I've been dreaming of the day you'd finally say that. I've had a crush on you since forever.
I smiled. We kissed, and it was the happiest moment of my life. Adrian and I dated, and by far, it was the happiest relationship out of the 3 triplets. With Luke, it was spicy, but too unstable. With Marco, it was just nice, but too boring. But with Adrian, it was just right. I feel like Goldilocks. Life was good. Except for my divorced parents, but hey, you can't have everything. But then the good times, like all things, came to an end. Prom was approaching. I was expecting Adrian to ask me any day now. Finally, it seemed the time came. We were in the cafeteria and Adrian appeared with a huge board that had the words, "Will you go to prom with me?" written in bold.
Lucy, No!
Marco suddenly appeared. He had a teddy bear and flowers.
Lucy, please take me back! I never should have kissed your mom!
The crowd watching us all gasped in shock. What? Before Marco could finish, Luke drove into the building on his motorbike.
Hey, Lucy, don't settle for these dimwads. Come to prom with me. Bro, you stay out of this. No, you stay out of this. You both better leave before I get mad.
Then they all started fighting. I couldn't even do anything. I was beyond shocked. At the beginning of this year, I would have never expected to find 3 hot guys fighting over me. While they were all fighting, I sneaked away, but as I was walking, I found Luke's phone on the ground. It was already open, and I saw that he had been messaging my mom. What could they possibly be talking about? I read through, and I felt my stomach drop. All of this, everything, it had all been set up. These are the messages I saw.
Luke, my daughter Lucy is very lonely and needs a boy like you to spice up her life. I will pay you $10,000 to date her, but you must date her all the way through to after prom. Wow, really? Awesome! But what's the catch? Smart boy. The catch is your brothers are fighting for her as well. Only one of you will receive the reward money. Good luck.
I was devastated. But then I realized it all made sense. The triplets must have lied when they said they were rich. When Marco had bought me that diamond necklace, he must have done it expecting to win the $10,000. That's the only reason why he spent the money. And Luke's motorbike? He must have just rented it out to win me over. But Adrian... Oh, Adrian. The fact that he was dating me for some cash reward broke me the most. And my mom, how could she do this to me? I know she was trying to help me, but this wasn't the way to go. And why had she kissed Marco? I looked up and Adrian was approaching me.
Lucy, what?
He saw the phone and the messages. Tears were running down my face.
Lucy, please, it's not what you think.
I threw the phone at him. You jerk! I ran all the way home and didn't look back. But when I arrived home, I was met by another nightmare. My mom was there.
Hi, honey. Good news. Your dad and I are getting back together.
I hate you! Mom was shocked, but then understanding dawned on her face.
So, you found out.
How could you do this to me?
I did this for you. Oh, honey, you were so sad and lonely. I wanted to help because I love you.
No, Mom, this isn't love. I ran to my room. I told Dad about what Mom had done, and he kicked her out again. I cried all night. Suddenly, I heard knocking on my window. I went over to investigate and found Adrian hanging by the branch of a tree. Adrian?
Please let me in. I'm about to fall.
I hesitated but let him in. Now, get out.
Lucy, please. It's all a big misunderstanding. I didn't take on your mom's deal.
I'll never believe another word you say.
If you won't believe me, believe this.
Adrian showed me his phone. I read his messages with my mom, and sure enough, he was telling the truth. When my mom had offered him the money, Adrian had said,
That's a terrible thing to do to your daughter, and I won't be a part of it. But when I got to meet you and we spent more and more time together, I realized that I really do love you. My awful brothers are the ones taking advantage of you, not me. Please, Lucy, you gotta believe me.
I smiled and kissed him. Of course I believe you. Years passed. Adrian and I ended up getting married. On our wedding day, the priest gave his speech and said,
If anyone objects to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Suddenly, I saw 2 heads appear in the audience. Marco and Luke. My blood ran cold. Not again. But then someone else appeared. Mom. She hadn't been invited to our wedding, but she had shown up anyway. I thought she was gonna ruin everything, but she did something unexpected. She grabbed Luke and Marco by the ears and dragged them away so they couldn't object. I watched her go, and as she turned around to glance at me, I mouthed the words, "Thank you," to her. She smiled, nodded, and left.
You may now kiss the bride.
Adrian and I kissed, and I was so ready for this next chapter of my life.